Now, everybody knows, the whole world knows that
Absolutely.
what we are doing here is one of the what the Europeans are practicing in the waters of Seychelles and the Indian Ocean is one of the most destructive fishing techniques ever. Just one thing I would like to point out as we speak now. I mean, maybe a lot of Seychelles have seen around the coast. We have this abundance of little
Yes,
anchovies,
sardines.
sardines,
Sardine, yeah.
and
That's a direct correlation with the overfishing of the
Exactly,
tuna and
exactly.
all the big fish.
you see, so we have we have
Broke the
removed
food chain.
we have removed a major predator in the food chain.
Yeah.
This is why we're having this abundance of these little sardines on the coast, and these little fish don't come to the coast. I mean, because they are fed on by tuna, so that means there's something wrong in the food
Exactly.
chain.
And then
It's
what
it's a-
happens? Because now, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've just been seeing dead fish, dead reef fish,
Exactly.
just so many of them. So
Yeah.
how does that correlate?
Absolutely. I mean, these little, as I said, little sardines, they don't belong on the coast. Normally, they are into areas where we call rich areas of upwelling, where
Yeah.
there's rich currents coming
Okay.
from, and these are where the tuna concentrate to feed. And since probably there's one part, as I said, one major predator out of the food chain, then the abundance. So these little fish, they come here. They feed on planktons. There's no planktons on the coast here. So
So it's really
sooner or later, they would start dying also, starving.
Reduce the
They
oxygen
would
demand.
starve. And whilst they are there on the coast concentrating on the reefs, obviously they are excreting waste, and that waste would then be sedimented on the corals, on the reefs, on the ocean floor. And this would then have adverse effects probably on species
On
that
other
are,
species that feed on these
are
corals, yeah.
feeding on these areas.
Especially who depends on the shallow water
Exactly.
and they need a high amount of dissolved oxygen.
Of oxygen, exactly.
So the waste comes down onto the coral, and then it creates that toxic algae that
Toxic
sucks the oxygen out of the water, and that's why we're having a lot of dead fish,
Exactly.
which makes perfect sense.
It makes sense. It
Yeah.
makes so much sense. But to me, it's a shame that nobody came out from the authorities to
Yeah,
try and
to talk about that, yeah.
You said it's something that's happened to us. You know, for me, this is an alarm call. This is a red
Yeah.
flag. You
So
know,
now it's not
scientists,
really-
scientists should be coming
Definitely.
down and guys, something is wrong here. The ministry,
Yeah.
the authority, Seychelles, this is what they should be doing. This is their job. you
But
know.
they don't want to rustle feathers because, as they keep pointing out, our
Yeah.
economy depends on fisheries.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing that.
how is
though.
that?
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask.
How is that? I mean, I don't get it.
I don't get it
If you go in
either.
all the reports, you realize that the biggest import, not export,
Yeah,
the biggest import for Seychelles
yeah, it's
is fish.
It's fish.
Really?
Yeah.
You mean
Seriously?
we? So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
export our
Yes,
fish and then we
we-
re-import it.
No,
We
because
don't even re-export. We don't even export and re-import. No.
No.
The tuna that is fishing our water, when they go out there, they fish under the Seychelles flag.
Yeah.
But when they land the fish, correct me if I'm wrong,
Right.
when they land the fish at IoT, they don't land it under the Seychelles flag. They land it under the EU flag. So which means the fish doesn't belong to you anymore when it's on the boat. Okay? So
Interesting.
when it's landed in IoT,
Interesting.
Wow.
it's their fish.
Yeah.
But
Now
fishing in
Seychelles
our
has
water.
40% in the
So the funding can factory, yes.
40%, and that is the only 40% that we get, not on the fish, but but it's on the sales
On the
of the IoT, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So basically, all the fish that is sold to IoT
Is
that is the bulk of our import.
Yeah.
It is imported.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Interesting. I didn't know that.
so
Interesting.
I don't
I'm
understand
confused.
it. It's
so meaning that
very-
when it comes to the bulk of the income from the fishing sector, we don't see that money.
No.
So technically, what Kid was saying, that 10,000 ton overfish, if you were to put a figure on that, just multiply it by whatever figure it costs for per tons
per ton.
of tuna,
Yeah.
you realize that with only 2-3 vessels, if just were fishing its own tuna and selling its own tuna to IoT, with only 3 vessels over a period of 2 years, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to clear all our external debt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But like, I
Yeah.
spoke to somebody that is, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's involved in trying to negotiate better
Better deal.
terms for us in the future.
it's never
Yeah,
gonna
he
happen.
says his hands are
This is
tied.
gibberish.
But he talks about the fact that the EU, they do a lot of projects here. They pour money into Seychelles, but when you look at that money, it
Peanuts.
doesn't even equate to even a tiny percentage of what they're actually
Extracting.
taking from
It's
our
peanuts.
oceans. And then they come in and they teach us how to, you know, deal with waste and how to, you know, deal with the waste products of the
Well,
tuna,
they won't
but they
contribute
don't
more.
teach us how. They don't teach us and empower us to actually handle our own damn fish.
Exactly. Because that's good for them.
Yeah.
And they will tell us how also to control our local
Exactly.
fishing.
Oh, yeah.
They give us money.
Yeah.
They give us money through the Swallow Fish project to
Yeah.
actually put in place management plans for our local
Local,
operators, our
yeah.
Seychellois fishing in our waters. We want them to work on the management plans. But we know that the tuna has been overfished. We know that IOTC has imposed quotas. We just have to implement and make sure that we do some monitoring and proper
Yes.
controls.
Who will do that?
This is the mandate of the Seychelles Fishing Authority. That's where they get money.
Exactly.
The EU gives them money for this, but they don't do it.
The EU gives them money to do it
The
for
money.
others.
Yes,
But
exactly.
the others are not
There you
even
go.
causing
Exactly.
1% of
Exactly.
the
There
issue
you go.
that.
So it's sad because obviously fish is one of the we are highest consumers of fish
Exactly.
amongst in the world, and it's one of the source of protein that is
Absolutely.
produced locally. Most of the other things, even from farming point of view,
Yeah.
most of the protein are imported.
Exactly.
We produce a minimum. So EU sends their vessels. They give the vessels. They give them huge concessions, you know, and to come and fish in our waters. And we, in our National Assembly, we are discussing how to remove the
Concession and
concessions
put a
on
tax.
farmers and fishermen and taxes. So we go to the EU, we tell EU that our fishing sector needs assistance. That's why they give us the sectoral support fund.
Yeah.
We go and seek money from the EU on behalf of the local fishermen. So if you're seeking money on my behalf, that means I need help. So if I need help, how can then you take the money from the EU and then you want to tax me? You just got money on my behalf. You want to
Wow.
tax me? You want to remove the benefits that
Yeah,
the sector
subsidy out.
the subsidies out? This is complete nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, I
these are
agree,
conversations
man.
that we should be having every day in this
Yeah.
country. We should be addressing this and have forums where people can come together, discuss about this, and really come up with the truth.